everyone, and thank you so much for joining us at CSL Leesburg. Our theme for this year is Timeless Wisdom, Evolutionary Vision, and our focus for the month of October is Going Further Together. The title of our talk today is The Divine Community, and it's perfect timing, as always, because today is New Member Sunday. Our talk will be given by our spiritual director, Charlene Banks. And before we get to that, we're going to open our sacred service. So sit back and join us, get comfortable as we begin our service. Please join us as we create our sacred space. We set our intentions of deepening into our awareness and practice of our 5 pillars of spiritual living by lighting this candle in our virtual world. Our first pillar is sacred study, represented by the divine quality of truth. We use this pillar to recognize the importance of an open mind and the power of our minds. The second pillar is affirmative prayer, represented by the divine quality power. This pillar honors the power of prayer in our daily lives. Our third pillar is meditation and the divine quality of peace. This pillar reminds us of the importance of meditation and the peace we feel when we quiet our minds. The fourth pillar is circulation and the divine quality of life. We know that the great law of circulation works in our lives. As we give, so shall we receive. And the fifth pillar is sacred service and the divine quality of love. This pillar affirms our call to be a service to our world as we see through the eyes of love. Let us close our eyes as we bless this sacred space and our time together. As we weave each of these pillars of spiritual living into our service today, may they deepen our own spiritual practices of study, prayer, meditation, circulation, and service, expanding our minds and our hearts to the 5 divine qualities of truth, power, peace, life, and love. We also bless everyone who made our service possible today and everyone in attendance. May the energy of love that is generated here bless everyone abundantly. And so it is. And so it is. Please feel free to add to the chat or in the comments any prayer requests or celebrations that you would like us to include later in the service when we provide our community spiritual mind treatment, which is a form of affirmative prayer. And now join us as we move into our time of meditation with Charlene.
And thank you, Tamara. Thank you so much for your bright and sunshiny face. You're always so positive and just representative of what this community is all about. I appreciate that about you. And so welcome, everybody. It is October. It is time for the fall, for the leaves to change. And it's always that sacred time for me as well. So I just invite you to just take a moment and we'll just go within and commune in our community meditation, where we'll just kind of embrace the changes that are upon us. All right. So taking a nice deep breath. Just relaxing your body, getting comfortable, and coming to a nice calm space within. Where the center of our being has been beckoning us to call, to just stop, calling us to just be. with a still, small voice, says, I am. Releasing any tension that you may feel in your body temple. And anchoring the breath through the nostrils. And in this sense of calm, in this sense of peace, we sit, we rest, we know that we are well cared for. And in this silence, I would like you to just connect with your inner senses and just imagine what is it that you would like to experience more of. Is it more peace, more love, more abundance? More health, wellness, wholeness? What attribute of the divine would you like to amplify in your life right this moment? Settle your mind on that one attribute of the divine and expand it inside your heart. So for me, it's love. And as I breathe in, I imagine love just welling up throughout my entire body. Starting out as a small flicker in the center of my being, this love simply pulsates outward, gathering strength with it as it builds upon itself. It encompasses my entire body, this field of love. And for you, whatever quality is it, this field of wholeness, this field of health, this field of abundance, it is now bigger than me. It is now fully encompassing my being like a sphere, like an orb of light. I am this quality. This spiritual community that we are, each of us is holding a quality of health or wellness, goodness, wholeness, peace. And since we are connected, we too feel that quality as their orbs of light emerge with ours into one big community orb of well-beingness. There is no separation. We are one. this community bound together in its sacred purpose. And we are that light. And in your mind's eye, I would like you to extend this light that we are to the very household that we sit in, the city that our house resides in, the state that our city lives. This orb of light, of health, of well-being, of peace, joy, love, wisdom is now bigger. It encompasses this entire United States, this entire North American continent. And it fills and it encompasses this entire planet. The globe is now pulsating with this light of love, health, well-being, abundance, joy, especially peace, and kindness towards our fellow. This is the power of the spiritual community. This is the power of one individual, that difference that we make when we show up and we do our work intentionally. With gratitude, I invite you to simply return back into this room and allowing that light to stay where it is, because we are all moving and having our beingness inside the oneness. I just know for each and every one of us that we all are blessed in our own special ways, making this entire globe a better place. And so with this awareness, I am so grateful that we have time to spend together today in community. I release it into the law, and so it is. Amen.
We shall be known by the company we keep as the ones who circle around to tend these fires. We shall be known as the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves back to the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep as the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known as the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that all thrive. It is time we lead ourselves back to the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead as love.
In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love. Woo, Woo, Leah. She's pretty amazing, right? I'm going to fix that. Don't worry. Okay. Hi. Hello, everybody. Good morning. So just hold on. I'm multitasking. You know me. Good morning, my beloved community. Now, the beloved community, this is the whole month of October. It's pretty awesome because we are talking about the divine community, and the very first thing that made me think of the whole topic of the context is that Dr. Martin Luther King talked about the beloved community. And the word beloved is like the activity of being loved. So think about beloved. The act of being loving and loved is the purpose of our community. And this is why we come together to do our spirituality. I say do because it's active. To do our spirituality together, because an old African proverb is what I remember. It says alone we can go fast, but together we can go far. Because think about it, you see the geese flying. I think about nature all the time. Geese, when they fly in a certain pattern, the V pattern. And there's strategy when it comes to that. The lead goose, I know the plural of goose is geese, kind of sets the direction. And then the way that they pattern themselves after that is all about everybody kind of being able to benefit from the airflow that is gained by that lead goose. So the lead goose goes and he's like taking all the headwind. And then the way that the others behind him set themselves up are so that they can ride in that little pocket and not have to work as hard as the lead goose. And so what I read about was that they would take turns. That after a while, that lead goose is like, whew, I'm tired. You got this? And the other one's like, I got this, and then goes to the front. I mean, we don't see that when we're just watching that one little flight go by. But that's exactly what happens. And so think about that as a community. Isn't it great to not have one person do all the work all the time? I mean, how could that even be sustainable, right? Instead, you have groups of people that say, all right, I see that. I want to take on that job. I'm going to help you with that. And somebody else says, and I'm good at this other thing. And then every now and then you just swap. Everybody just kind of gets a chance to lead something so that together we go further. Imagine if each goose decided, nope, I'm going to be the independent goose and I'm going to fly on my own direction. Okay, you're a tired goose and now you're vulnerable to predators. I'm just saying, nature knows what she's doing. And so we figured it out, right? Because we're here. We're here at CSL Leesburg, the community that is spiritual, because we know that together we go far. We know that we reflect each other in our growth. And one thing I love about this community, this specific one, is that we have so many different ways of seeing the world that each one contributes something. For example, you'll have some people talking. We do lots of little groups, and you guys will hear more about that as we go. But the different groups were like, I didn't see it that way. I had no idea that the trees, for example, Erin's really good about ecology. The trees actually have a network. Like their internet is below the ground, instead of ours being up in the sky. So their internet, they're talking to each other and they're figuring stuff out. And there are ways to see the trees so differently. I would not have seen trees that way if Erin didn't have the experience she has. And so each one of us, and I can go on and I can name every single member of this congregation and tell you how their perspective, their particular way of looking at the world has made me a better person. And that's what we do. We kind of trade it off and we share our talents, we share our experiences, and we share our points of view. Why? To raise each other up in spirit. And we see each other as spiritual beings. And, every now and then we have our moments, just like any other community. And I'm reminded of a story from Reverend Michael Beckwith, who said that there is the difference between heaven and hell is your approach to life. So he takes one scenario and he says there is a buffet, big, beautiful buffet that went infinitely in both directions with all the foods that your mind can imagine. You decide what foods they are. As a vegetarian or as a vegan or as a meat eater, imagine the foods. And you are given a fork and a spoon, right? In heaven and hell, both scenarios. It's the same exact scenario. Big, long buffet as far as the eye can see. You got a fork and a spoon. Only problem is everybody in the room, everybody in this at the buffet, they don't have elbows. Their arms are straight. They can't bend their arms. Now in hell, you saw people just mad, flinging food around, mad because they can't eat, because they can't bend. If your arm didn't bend, you couldn't get the food to your mouth. And they couldn't eat, but it's right there and it's making them mad. Everybody's just pissed off, as it were. But then switch your gears, look at heaven. They're all feeding each other. Everybody's taking the food and figuring out, what do you want? I'll get you that and I'll feed you because my arms don't bend. But then you can feed me what I want. And they all just figured it out because heaven is where you work in concert with one another. Heaven on earth is where a community like ours, we help each other. We see, oh, you're not great at that. I'm great at that. I'll help. Oh, you can't feed yourself chocolate cake. I've got a fork. I can feed you that chocolate cake if you give me that steak. We could do that. We work together. Isn't that neat? I love that vision. There's another story I read recently about, there was a retreat. 200 people at the retreat. And they were each given these, those balls, those red kick balls. Those ones, they're like about that big. And they wrote their name on the ball. And they put everybody, 200 of these, put into a room, a pretty small room. And the task was to go into that room, find your ball, and then come right back. And they had like half an hour. The people went in the room and the balls are flying around and everybody's looking at each ball and throwing it and looking at the next one. And A, it was chaos. B, everybody was mad. C, nobody found their own name. Nobody found the ball with their own name because, come on, what are the chances, right? 200 balls and you got to find yours. Well, that was a terrible experience. They felt horrible. They came back into the seminar room and they were told, all right, go back in there. And now your task is to pick up a single ball and then find the person who it belongs to and give it to them. They were out in 15 minutes and everybody was happy. So isn't that just the way it is? If we go around in this world looking only for to make our way, I want to get mine. You're in my way. You're in my way. Move. I've got to get my thing over there. That's going to make for a terrible society where everybody's fighting to get their own, but they're not cooperating to help anybody get their things. But if we approach the world where I am on a mission to help you, and in turn, I know that we're part of a community where you're on a mission to help me. We work with what we've got, and we find out how it fits. Well, gee, that sounds like heaven to me. And so these types of stories they really hit. They kind of speak to me because I've always wanted to be a part of something where I could be sure or slightly certain that people weren't being phony, that they weren't smiling in my face and ready to stab me in my back. And I have to say, it kind of still to this day, I'm like, I'm just going to trust that they're being sincere, right? I'm not going to make up a story that people don't like me anymore. I mean, I used to, and I was probably right back then. I don't know. But I'm not going to make up a story that people don't like me. What I will do, though, is find a community like this one where values are shared. The higher values are shared. And we don't always meet them. Sometimes, we go with the 4 agreements, right? We don't want to gossip. We always do our best. We don't take anything personally. And there's a 4th one. I can't remember. Someone type it into the chat. The 4 agreements. Don't take anything personally. Do your best. Keep your word. I think it's impeccable with your word, right? And that's the part that says don't gossip. And so don't make assumptions. Thank you, thank you, Mafi. Don't make assumptions. And when I do that, I find a group of people that also believe that. And then I do my best. I'm going to trust that they're doing their best. And if they say, you're doing great, I'm going to believe them, right? I'm not going to create drama if it's not there. And I think we tend to have, depending on how we grew up and what kind of anxiety we bring with us, sometimes we're afraid that people are smiling in our face, but not being sincere. And I believe that in a good spiritual community who's striving to do their best, that we have to trust and verify that people are who they say they are. Because how else can we go through life worrying about what people think? No, don't take anything personally. And can we go through life thinking that people are gossiping about us? Well, not if we don't gossip ourselves, right? And I think that we tend to project our worst onto other people and then react from that. And so as long as we're trying to be, and I'm really just feeling this through, as long as we're trying to be sincere with our efforts and love being the first thing that we go to, then we really can't go wrong. Dr. King did say our goal is to create a beloved community. And this will require a qualitative change in our souls as well as a quantitative change in our lives. Do you hear the word change? Change in both of those sentences, or both of those things that it's going to require. Change in the quality of our souls as well as quantitative. Like we're going to see things change outwardly. Now, from G.K. Chesterton in What's Wrong with the World, here's a quote. Beloved community is not an idea that has not been tried and found wanting. It has been found difficult and not tried. So it's not like they found it and it wasn't good enough. People looked at it and said, nope, that's hard. I'd rather go back to just bare minimum. And Brene Brown in The Gifts of Imperfection, she says, a deep sense of love and belonging is an irreducible need of all people. We are biologically, cognitively, physically, and spiritually wired to love, to be loved, and to belong. That hits, doesn't it? We are wired cognitively, physically, spiritually, biologically to love, to be loved, and to belong. Now, being a spiritual person, and this kind of spirituality, this new kind of spirituality where we're no longer believing that we were born in sin, we're no longer believing that we're not good enough and God is out there somewhere judging us. When we're into this new spirituality, new to some but old to others, where we know we are one with God, God has never left, and that we were not born in sin, and that we do not have, it can be hard to find a place to belong. You could go to one of the churches and then still feel kind of like, there's nobody else like me. I don't think I fit here. And I believe that this teaching, we end up here because we felt like a fish out of water in some of the other traditions. The other traditions which encourage us, don't ask questions, don't try to put it together, have faith, don't trust. There was one religion that said, don't trust your own thinking. Okay, I won't trust my own, what? So that didn't fit. I'm like, okay, well, it's not going to work. I feel like I don't fit in. So it's a very lonely feeling to be going through life spiritually, feeling like there's something you understand and nobody else understands it. And then when you find a teaching that, and nothing's going to match 100% because you're going to be an individual. But when you find a teaching that mostly says the things you knew all along, it's like a little ding, 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 clock goes off inside of you. And this is that belonging, that thing where you feel like, oh, there's other people that think like me. Oh my gosh. And there's other teachings that I've already known this. This has already been my truth. And yay, someone else knows it too. Not only that, it's been around for how long? Question mark? Yeah, it's been around for a while, and it's really cool to find a whole group of people that teach this. So we are part of a bigger organization, as you know. Center for Spiritual Living is, I guess it's international, right? We're all over the world. And so what we have in common, what is that golden thread that runs through not only our tradition, but through all spiritual traditions, all religious traditions, is that we know that we are one with the divine. We are one with life. So I want to show you this video that I found as part of the materials for this week. I think you'll enjoy this. Let's see if I could share. All right.
The world that we see around us is built on a story. Every culture has a different set of answers to these basic questions of who are you? What is it to be a human being? What's important? What's valuable? Where do we come from? Where are we going? How does the world work? Every culture answers this in a different way. And science provides some answers. It says basically that what you are is a discrete, separate individual among other individuals in a universe that's separate from you as well. And every field has agreed with this characterization of what it is to exist. Psychology, you're this bubble of psychology, or this mind encased in flesh. Religion, you are a soul encased in flesh. Physics, you're a mass subject to impersonal forces that are deterministic. Biology, you are basically a flesh robot programmed by your genes to maximize reproductive self-interest. Economics, you are a rational actor seeking to maximize financial self-interest. All of them agreed on what it was to exist. Well, the new sciences contradict that. Quantum mechanics seems to violate this separation between self and other. If we're separate from the universe, then of course we want to control these indifferent or hostile external forces, and humanity's destiny becomes to become the lords and masters of nature and to transcend nature. And it's not working too well anymore. In economics, that translates into growth, the endless growth of the human realm. And we're learning that there's a limit to that, and we're learning that it's not an external universe out there, but that everything we do to this world, we're doing on some level to ourselves. That is a wound that we feel all the time and that we suffer from. That pain of existing in our culture that's so omnipresent we don't even realize it, except when we're bored, you know? That feeling of, why does it hurt just to exist? When we're young, we have this knowledge that the world is supposed to be much more beautiful than what has been offered to us as normal. We understand that, but that expectation gets betrayed again and again and again, and to protect it, we develop cynicism. As our ecosystems fall apart, our political system, our educational system, healthcare system falls apart, things aren't working so well anymore, and it's a lot harder to fully believe in our stories. So we're moving into a different story of self, a different story of the world, a different story of the people. The self of interconnectedness, the self of inner beingness. One thing it means is that these tiny actions may have a significance beyond that we can understand. That logic of the heart that says, yeah, I know that this is a significant act, and I know that everything I do is significant, no longer contradicts the logic of the mind, which had been the logic of separation. And what effect could you, one tiny little being, have with the puny force available to you when the powers that be have so much more force at their disposal. Every act that comes from the understanding of interconnection, of inner being, is a spiritual act and also a political act. By acting from a different story, we disrupt the psychic substructure of our mythology, and we offer an alternative. This is something that's eminently practical. And anytime that we give somebody an experience that doesn't fit into the old story, it weakens that old story. It disrupts it. It could be an act of generosity. It could be an act of forgiveness. Anything that violates that understanding that we're separate and everyone's in it for themselves. Being in service to something larger than yourself. And I would offer that as the formula for stepping into the flow of synchronicity. You don't know how to get from here to there, but that thing larger than yourself does. And it arranges these synchronicities, being at the right place at the right time, being in flow. I think everyone's experienced that, and usually when you experience that, it's when your world is kind of fallen apart and you're in the state of uncertainty, and then all things like start to flow and they start to work, right? And we can enter that state when we let go of the paradigm of control and bow into service to this thing larger than ourselves. And what is this thing? What is it that unifies all of these different things that we're committed to? Let's call it the more beautiful world our heart knows is possible. As you go about your life, in fact, right now, feel that part of you that knows that you are here in service. And ask yourself if you're ready to bow more deeply into that service. If you do it, I predict that you will experience an unexpected opportunity to act on that intention. And it'll be just at the edge of your courage, but not past it.
All right. Wowee, right? Okay, so that was our little video. I just want to get ready to show you one more thing. We're going to be doing our New Member Sunday coming up right now, our New Member Ceremony, which is perfect timing. I say that because, hold on, let me add something. Just a second. And then I'll show you another slide. Okay, we'll go back into PowerPoint slide mode. And so here we are. This is New Member Sunday, and just like what the video said, you'll be called to service, to step into something just a little, with not totally outside of your ability to do it, but pushing that growing edge. And so we're going to welcome our new members. We do have 4 people joining us this Sunday. And just know that Center for Spiritual Living, Leesburg, we're a community that celebrates diversity. We foster inclusion, and we champion your inner work as much as your outer work. We do create a space for us to have those brave and vulnerable conversations. We are a community that honors the unique emanation of God that is each and every one of us. and we advocate with people for human rights and dignity for all. We also are a community that we bless each other. We see holiness in all of life. We remain learners. We're always learning. We always listen. Why? So that we can grow together. Because we understand that just because we are one does not mean that we are all the same. So we at the Center for Spiritual Living Leesburg know that the beloved community is revealed when we love each other well. And so our president of the board, Tamara, will be naming all of the new members who have decided to join us, yay. And then she is going to walk us through the pledge that not only the new member is going to undertake, but then that we as a community will undertake. Tamara?
All right. I think we switched things up. I thought you were going to welcome our new members, and I'm going to lead our congregation, our
Sure.
our community.
Sure.
Let's do that.
Okay. Back to me. So the new members, and thank you, Renee, for our studio help in switching between the speakers. You're so fluid. I love that. Thank you. We have 4 new members. That's Mafi Cook, Natalie Feder-Welch, Richard Latouche, and Layla Sequoia Meadows. Now, 2 of these are here with us today in Zoom, and 2 of them are not. One is on an airplane, and the other one doesn't want to watch on Zoom. So I do wonder if the 2 that are with us today want to be included in the spotlight or not. I don't know if you want to be on camera. Either way. Okay, Mafi says yes. Okay, Natalie says yes. So, so is this the part you want to do, Tamara?
I can take over. I think
Yes.
you're walking through our new members.
Okay.
And then doing our community.
All right. So new members. Renee, I don't know if it's possible to add 2 more people to the spotlight. You can remove me if it's possible. Boy, we are just pushing the edge of that, growing edge of that envelope, right? So if not, I can stop sharing and we can add them to the spotlight. That could be a thing too. Yes? Okay, let's try that. All right. I'll stop sharing. And now...
Here they are.
Hey guys.
So good to see your faces.
Hi, I'm so happy that you're joining us. And so we at Spiritual Centers for Spiritual Living Leesburg have a few things that we want to ask you. And at the end of each sentence, I'll just look at you and you say, we do. And you can turn on it. You can come off of mute if you'd like. So as a new member, do you pledge to practice the principles of spiritual living in your everyday life?
We do.
Yes. Do you pledge to attend service regularly, online, live, or watch the recording services if you can't make it?
We do.
We do.
Good. Give in an identifiable way of your time / treasure / talents.
We do.
Do you pledge to support the center by volunteering when possible?
We do.
And do you pledge to continue to grow spiritually by studying the principles?
We do.
Thank you very much. And we are so grateful, so grateful to have you as part of our community. And now, community, I shall go back into share mode so Tamara can see the slides.
That worked out beautifully. And ladies, thank you for turning on your cameras and your mics. It was just so good to see your faces and hear your voices. So now I'm going to walk our congregation, all of our members who are joining us here, either on our Zoom or on Facebook, or maybe they're watching us later. And I just want to remind us as members what we do to support our new members. So I'm going to do the same thing that Charlene did, and you just repeat after me when I get to the end of the line, and you can see them on the screen. So as a congregation, do you pledge to support these beautiful souls on their spiritual journey?
Yes.
We do. Do you pledge to include them in social and other teamwork endeavors as much as possible? We do.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love that. Do you pledge to model the principles of spiritual living?
We do.
We do. Do you pledge to embrace their individuality? We do.
We do.
Do you pledge to keep sacred any confidences? We do.
We do.
And do you pledge to honor and value their unique differences? We do. What a joyous celebration of community that just fits in so well with the title of our talk today, Divine Community.
Yes. So we will be sending you the official paperwork signed by your president, Tamara, in the mail. We'll be requesting some mailing information from you, but stand by for all of the additional stuff. The sacred ceremony is complete. Oh, thank you, everyone. You're so accommodating. I know that I, have lots of ideas, and thank you for helping me make them come through for us. So as we wrap up this, I'm just so excited. And if you were in person, I would hand you a white rose and hug you and tell you how much you are loved. But for now, we close. So there was one more Ernest Holmes I wanted to show you. Love is the only final security in the universe. Don't you love that? Love is the greatest healing power in the universe, and the only thing that binds people together in a community of spirit. So let's go ahead and go into prayer, and then we'll have Leah sing us out. So as we close our eyes and just remind ourselves where we are, who we are, and how we are. We are the divine emanations of the one presence that we call God, that the universe has imprinted itself as us in this bodily incarnation on this planet Earth at this time for a reason. And I know that each one of us is called to be higher and more of who they really are by shedding all of our false beliefs and false appearances and just stepping more and more into our true nature. I know that this is happening for each and every one of us in this divine community, and I'm so blessed that this community grows and expands in its truth, and that we take these teachings out into our personal lives and we bless everyone. I speak my word for Christopher and Zoe, that they both find their own integrity, that they follow their true heart, and they know their own spiritual intelligence as they show up in this world as young 20-somethings making their way into the world. In fact, for each and every one of us here who has a child at any age, I just know that all of the children of this divine community are blessed, and that just by being here on this planet, that they are starting to awaken to who and what they truly are. They're gaining in confidence, and they're gaining in their power to represent the universe as them, unfiltered and on point. I also speak my word for any part of this planet that is experiencing any sense of separation, any sense of despair, that right where they are, God is. God is showing its face in that very situation, right where they are. And as I know this to be true for myself and for everyone here and for everyone on the planet, I know that as I speak my word, it is not coming back to me void. It comes back with its fullness from which I spoke. And so I release my word into the law that only says yes. I let it be, I let it go, and I just say, thank you, life. And so it is. Amen. And let's hear from Leah.
Let our hearts not be hardened. To those living on the margins, there is a room becomes familiar. Sing with me. Too long we have wandered, burdened and undone, but there is a room at the table for everyone. Let us sing a new world in. This is where it all begins. There is a room at the table for everyone. There is room for us all, and no gift is too small. There is room at the table for everyone. There's enough if we share. Come on, pull up a chair. There is room at the table for everyone. No matter who you are, no matter where you're from, there is a room at the table for everyone. Here and now we can be the beloved community. There is a room at the table for everyone. There is a room for us all, and no gift is too small. There is room at the table for everyone. There's enough if we share. Come on, pull up your chair. There is a room at this table for everyone. So let our hearts not be hardened. To those living on the margins, there is room at the table for everyone. We'll make room at the table for everyone. There is a room at the table for everyone. There is a room at the table for everyone. There is a room at the table for everyone.
Woo.
There we are. So, oh, what an inspiring Sunday. How fabulous. Thank you everyone who joined us. Now is the time to bless the donations that are shared today. At CSL Leesburg, we believe in the law of circulation. So we are a tithing community. The donations that are shared with our center bless everyone, those who give and those who receive. And you can see there's so many ways that you can give. It's easy to find a way that works best for you. We thank you so much for your support. And no matter how you are giving, just join me and just place it over your heart. It might be physically, it might be mentally, and join us in our affirmation of oneness. The presence of spirit within me blesses everyone that I meet, tends to heal everything I touch, brings gladness into the life of everyone I contact. Therefore, I'm a blessing to myself, to humankind, and to this glorious day in which I live. And so it is. So we made a change. We decided that it might work out best if we move our class, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, to January. How challenging is it to give up a gorgeous Saturday afternoon in October and to make that commitment for 5 Saturdays in October when the weather is just so nice? So we said, all right, let's just bring in the new year with this new class. So you have plenty of time to think. Can you join us? Maybe your life is great now, but you'd like to make it even better. Maybe you're having some struggles with money, with relationship, with work, and you just like to know, how can I make my life better? So join us, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, and we'll be meeting in January. Also, if you like what you saw today and you want to keep coming back, we have so many different things going on. So we have our dream study on Tuesdays, on Tuesday mornings. You can join Charlene and friends. And guys, I've been having some really interesting dreams lately. Unfortunately, I can't join the dream study. I'm working, but for those of you who can, join us on Tuesday mornings at 9. It's always interesting. And on Wednesday evenings, we have our prayer and visioning sessions. And it's so wonderful to join midweek, see everyone, touch base, and just share our prayer concerns and celebrations. So, there we are. As we end this sacred time together, I want to remind you that we're going to be hanging around. If you're a new member, join us and we'll celebrate with you virtually. If you would like to stay and just share some pearls, that would be fabulous too. Pearls are those moments from our service that really will resonate with you and stay with you for the week. And we like to share those. If you can't join us and you need to go outside or go off and do things, we just thank you so much for joining us today. So as we end the sacred service together, let us once again place our hands over our hearts and join me as we say, I am love. And then just look at your screen. We truly are a divine community. Point to someone. Just know that they're looking back at you and pointing at you. You are love. And then we put our hands up in the air with something we call love sprinkles. It's all love. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you can,